A lot of you out there want to get into data science because you fundamentally understand how data and artificial intelligence are going to impact our world. Maybe you have a passion for math or for programming or for data in general. But in reality, I know there's one real reason why a lot of you are in this space, and it's for that sweet, sweet cash. So in the time I've been involved in data science, I've made a number of fairly significant moves up in the compensation department. So I wanted to share with you guys some insights I have on how to move up that ladder. Before we get started, just a few disclaimers. First and foremost, I am not a licensed or professional career advisor. So as such, this video should just be taken to give you some helpful food for thought and maybe hopefully for entertainment purposes as well. Secondly, this discussion is strictly about jobs in industry. Now, personally, my base of data science knowledge has been used to generate some other sources of revenue, specifically from this YouTube channel as well as from cryptocurrency trading, but those are completely outside of the scope of this video. However, even if you're not a data scientist by profession yourself, I think most of these things will work for you too. That also means that nothing in here is a get-rich-quick scheme. So if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for, this probably isn't the video for you. Think of the stuff in here as more of a get-rich-slow scheme, if that helps. So before I start talking about everybody's favorite topic, aka money, just a few usual asks. Number one, smash the like button to this video for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell. That way YouTube notifies you whenever I upload a video. And then if you guys would be willing to pitch in to support my channel, I'll have links in the description of this video to my PayPal account, as well as crypto wallet addresses. Alright, so I'm going to tell the full story behind when and where I've personally gotten raises, and then we're going to circle back at the end, and I'm going to talk about why I think those happened and some key takeaways. And I'm going to keep the focus here on the percentage increases that I've received, because there's so much variation globally and regionally in salaries. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is, no matter where you're starting from, that over time you continue to move up. So when I got my first job fresh out of my master's degree, I had a base salary, but I had to wait a solid year before I got my first raise. And I know this makes for a pretty long first year, but I think this is pretty standard with most organizations. When I got my first ever raise, it had been about a year and 3 months or so since I'd started. It was time for the company to do annual compensation adjustments. And so that first raise amounted to 5%. Not bad. Covers the loss of the purchasing power of your money to inflation, all that good stuff. Unfortunately though, with that organization, another year came around and I'd received a promotion and all that jazz. But due to a variety of external circumstances, the company was not able to perform more compensation adjustments. So somewhere between the 2.5 and 3 year mark, I made the decision to leave the company. And trust me when I say that was not an easy decision, because I absolutely loved the people there and the work I was doing, and I had learned a lot during my time there. In my case, there were some personal reasons for it too, but yes, the money thing was definitely a significant factor in my decision. Now, when I was leaving companies, I asked my new organization for an adjustment of about 25% upwards. To be totally fair, that was an incredibly tall ask, and no, they did not grant that. They ended up coming back to me with an offer to give me a 15% adjustment, and we ended up negotiating and meeting in the middle with a 19% adjustment. That brought me through some work that I was doing on a longer-term contract basis with a specific sponsor, and that work lasted about 18 months. At almost exactly the 1 year mark along the way, I was given a bump of about 5.5%. Now, just to give some context and a timeline here, this was shortly after I'd started my YouTube channel. It was brand new, I was just getting it off the ground, and I am going to circle back to that because that's going to be relevant later. So a few months later, that contract work came to a close, and I came back to a full-time position within my hiring organization. That came with a promotion shortly thereafter, and that promotion came with an 11.5% raise or so. And then just recently, it came time to do a second round of annual compensation adjustments, which for me came out to about an additional 9%. So it's been now almost 5 years since I finished my master's degree and entered the professional world full time, excluding various consulting gigs that I was doing pretty consistently throughout grad school. And since then, I've been fortunate enough to receive what I think pretty much anybody would consider to be generous, which is about a 60% movement upward in salary. Now, in fairness, if we were trying to represent how much I know now and how much value I can provide to organizations as opposed to 5 years ago, the difference between them would be many times greater than 60%. But that's not the point, and it's impossible to create a fair, true compensation structure based on that. And so I'm now going to provide 5 insights into how exactly I think I was able to move up so fast. The first point is that moving up in salary starts before you even have your first full-time job with a salary. It starts all the way back in college. Let's think about this all the way back with the economic reason why you get paid a salary in the first place. And essentially, it's because you provide surplus economic value to an organization. I get that that's a little bit simplistic in many cases, but the philosophical underpinnings of that are true. The more value that you're able to provide an organization, the better. I recommend watching my video all about how to break into data science to best set yourself up, because really everything there applies to this discussion about salary. I think the most important point in this salary discussion is, if you're coming from previous work experience, whether that's an internship or even unpaid work, if it has to be that, that's going to go a long way. When I was in grad school, I did paid teaching, an unpaid research gig for some connections that I knew who needed some help, a paid internship working as a consultant also, and then a separate unpaid consulting gig for an outside organization. And except for the teaching job, I landed every single one of those jobs just through my network, because either I knew people who needed help, or those people who I knew somebody else who needed help. And I think having some of that prior experience under my belt really helped me get into my first job at least a decent starting point, or more than it would have been otherwise. Now, the second takeaway here is that you're not necessarily guaranteed to get a raise if you don't ask for one. When you do decide to ask for a raise, there's one of a couple different ways that you should try to frame it. One approach is that you may be underpaid relative to the general market. So for example, it could be data scientists in your region with the same level of experience typically make $100K on average. You find that out through doing your own research, but maybe you only make $75K. That may be a mistake on your company's part, and that may be grounds for an adjustment. Then the other approach is very clearly, with numbers, demonstrating that you provide way more value to the organization than you're taking out from them in the form of compensation. But of course, be reasonable about it. I mean, don't ask for a 30% movement upward while your company is restructuring and going through layoffs or something like that. But you never know. Ask and you just might receive. Sometimes it doesn't work out though, and that's going to bring me to my next point, which is that, sometimes it is appropriate to switch jobs. So there's a bit of a balancing act to this one, because if you go and you switch jobs every year or every year and a half, it is going to look like a major red flag after a while, and it's going to make companies start to get a little hesitant to invest in you. Having said that, it's well known that changing jobs will typically give you some of the biggest boosts in salary that you're ever going to get. So this is from an article from MarketWatch, and they've got a CPA and a tax expert who stated that consistently remaining employed at companies for longer than 2 years can decrease your lifetime earnings by as much as 50%. But then it's well known that annual raises are typically around 3% or so. But then he estimates changing jobs whenever you do it will get you a 10 to 20% increase. At the end of the day, there's a lot more that goes into deciding do you stay or do you go than just the cash alone. But just know what you're signing up for if you're intending to stay at a company for the long haul. Now, the next point here is when you're actually getting hired in, negotiate and ask for more money right then, because there's no better time to do so. So there's a little bit of a game that typically gets played between HR professionals and job seekers in the sense that when they give you their first offer letter, they're typically going to lowball you a little bit. And if you think about it, you can't really blame them. Because what happens is so many people, once they receive a job offer, they're going to counteroffer that. Well, if you suppose a certain percentage of people don't counteroffer, well, the company is able to go a little bit lower with them, and the company has just saved themselves a considerable amount of money. Don't be part of that percentage that doesn't ask for more. Now, obviously, be polite and be reasonable and measured about it. Ask them if there's some wiggle room for some adjustment on your salary. Come prepared with some statistics and some market research on how much data scientists in your area with your level of experience typically make. And if you're not a jerk about it, you're not going to lose your original offer, trust me. And you might just set yourself up with more money then, which is going to get compounded years in the future in the form of raises, so your more money gets turned into more money. Then the last takeaway here is probably the most important one of all of them, and it's to build a network and a real public presence. As I stated earlier in this video, literally almost every single professional opportunity I've ever come upon came because I knew somebody through my network, not because I blew people away with some amazing project or portfolio or something. So networking can get you in the door, and it can open up other doors in the future. Once you get some experience under your belt, you can take this a step further. And so this is partly speculation on my part. I don't know this to 100% certainty, but I don't think I would have done as well for myself in the last couple years in the money department if I didn't have this YouTube channel where I contribute to things in the body of data science knowledge out there because I feel I have something to add to it. People can look at it this way. Okay, this guy has over 5,000 subscribers located all around the globe. More than 5,000 people care what he has to say. I guess he must be legit. Now, I'm not saying any of this to put myself on a pedestal at all, because I think way more people can contribute in public forums like YouTube and don't even realize it. And there are plenty of options out there other than just YouTube. You can start writing blog articles on Medium. You can become a regular contributor at places like GitHub or Stack Overflow, or you could even build up your network on LinkedIn and post there regularly. There's tons of things that you can do to put yourself out there. You just need to figure out what makes the most sense for you. I will end this one with a word of caution though. Be careful and don't do anything that'll get you in trouble. There's the well-known YouTuber Tech Lead who got fired from Facebook for his YouTube channel. So when in doubt, talk to your boss, over-communicate. So that's my story, along with what I think has stood out and been successful for me. Another word of caution that I'll try to leave you with here is just be careful as you chase higher salaries. There's a lot of other potentially competing interests to pay attention to as well. Things like benefits, paid time off, work-life balance in general. Just me personally, I know a lot of really miserable people who make a whole lot of money. But if you're in data science, there's plenty of ways out there to make money. And if you're not in data science, try some of these things anyway. I think they'll help you. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider sharing it, hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and then leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you made more money professionally yourself. Then I'll see you all in the not so distant future. Until then, Richard on Data.